So for the last 2 weeks, I've been out of the YouTube loop for about 20 days, and it's because for the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we've been working on Run and Gun Live, which is chat show, variety show, talent show kind of thing that's dropping on either Monday or Tuesday of next week. It's about an hour-long show shot here in the studio. I posted some of the screenshots or whatever to the community tab and then to Instagram. We have critique later today, and I'm off to New York in a couple hours, so I just wanted to touch base so I'm not punished by the YouTube algorithm. And then also, because I have noticed that the comment section of my videos has kind of dropped off. That's either a quality issue on my part, or it's not communicating clearly that I care, and I genuinely mean that, about what you have to say. And I genuinely mean that. Which is, I read every single one of the comments, and one of the reasons why I made this YouTube video, this YouTube channel, is not necessarily for money. Of course, money would be a good thing, but that's not the issue. I'm not making money off of the channel. I'm doing it in order to reach out beyond the confines of the community that I live in and to feel as if I do not live in a vacuum. The point being that if you write something in the comments, I read it. And I hope to respond to it. So I've selected a number of comments that I'm going to try and click through relatively quickly here in an attempt to start that kind of conversation in a way, for lack of a better word. So here we have on the screen here, we have from Krebstar425, from the video Advanced Graphic Design Made Simple, 4 Years of School in 14 Minutes. Rivers being a topic under anything considered advanced is laughable. But I guess as long as you have an art studio backdrop, people will take whatever you say as gospel. What a joke. Well, quite frankly, Krebstar425, rivers are, in fact, unfortunately, an advanced issue in graphic design. Now, how do I know that? Because I run a graduate program. Now, I agree with you. I wish it wasn't an advanced issue. But the fact of the matter is that over a 24-year period, I see rivers over and over and over again. And I'm not talking about rivers that a fine typographer would see. I'm talking about fucking rivers in justified type by students who went to independent colleges of art and design or tier 1 research institutions that have BFA programs that were taught graphic design, that are sophisticated designers whose portfolios are absolutely sophisticated in every other way. I see rivers over and over and over again, okay? So the point being, and the point behind the video, is that while rivers, I agree, rivers are a very basic thing and should be taught and should be addressed in the first 2 years of being a designer, they're not, all right? They're simply not. So, you're wrong. Rhinoceros, spelled wrong, says, I am so infatuated with this channel, and the way he speaks dominantly that I forget what he says can be and sometimes is pure nonsense. I called out this comment not to pat myself on the back, but because I think that there's a dynamic that I've spoken about, which Rhinoceros is absolutely correct about. You know, if you make a video or if you make an essay, if you construct an essay, you write a visual essay, make a video that steps relatively logically through an argument, and you put it forth in a specific way, it doesn't even matter whether you're right. It will look like you're right. I think that's an interesting dynamic. I think it's bullshit. I think you can use it to your advantage. I think you could use it to your disadvantage, but I think this person is right. Sam Hyde applies to art school, controversial comedians, Journey, episode 125. The fact that the vetting process for graduate applicants requires a consensus among current students sounds unethical for being cliquey, especially given the fact that you favored his alma mater, RISD, rather than his lowbrow art. Students should definitely not be calling the shots, nor should every student fit a social mold that you prioritized. I'm happy Sam found other passionate pursuits. Well, actually, quite frankly, I agree with you. Now, this is a little bit of a misperception. In the video, I go on to talk about the idea that many of the students, or a few of the students, two of the students, I think in the video I talk about two of the students, were really critical of Sam's work. That wasn't the reason why Sam and I did not end up working together, as I spoke about in the video. But to your larger point, by federal law, you're no longer allowed to share the applications with the graduate students. So the interview process has changed completely. And in a way, I agree with you that building consensus among current students can lead to a kind of cliquey and counterproductive way of doing things. I think I was a strong enough personality at that point to make sure that that didn't happen exclusively, but you raise a good point. Advanced Graphic Design Made Simple, 4 years of school in 14 minutes. Easy peasy, 3140 says, posters that don't make sense only to the person who created them sometimes isn't design, it's just art or crap. Well, that's the party line, which is that graphic design or design, communication design is about communication, and it solves problems, and if it's effective communication, it's good and it's effective, and if it's not, it isn't. Well, I completely disagree with that. My entire career has been about disagreeing with that. I am not saying that effective communication and design that steeps itself or that's programmed as effective communication is bad. No, we already know that that's good. So I'm saying that I agree that that can be good. I'm saying that there can be other programs, other reasons for graphic design or communication design or design in general. AI is graphic design, Coke logos, and porn? My response. Here it says what Cleon Peterson created for the floor underneath the Eiffel Tower should put him in jail. Well, I completely disagree with that. I think Cleon Peterson is really interesting. Cleon studied here in the studios, was whatever, former student, friend of mine, whatever. The point being that I think Cleon's work is fantastic. And what Cleon does in a lot of ways is raise difficult questions. He does not pose, in most of his work, in his more powerful work, what he's doing is presenting a problematic image space, conceptual space for the viewer to think through. In our current political climate, that's anathema. Basically, what all artists are called on to do today, which I completely disagree with, is to make their political agenda completely apparent both in the work and personally. Why is that a problem? Because at that point, there is no capacity for the work, the instrumentalist work, to change the mind of the viewer. I think it's a sophomoric approach to work, and I don't think Cleon's work is sophomoric at all. How artists actually get their ideas, ask an artist. It's a great suggestion to read Elkin's Why Art Cannot Be Taught. That's why I put it on the screen. Your posters suck because you're lazy. Oof, that white type over the window is a choice. So I got a lot of comments on my video, your posters suck because you're lazy, about the actual laziness of the video. I think this is one as well. I like this channel, but the brutal slap around the face in every video is what I need, but at the risk of being a troll. I feel like the message about strong design and use of typography would be much stronger if the video overlays didn't suck, like someone's been delving in this clip art bin and found all the crap at the bottom. Now hit me again. Now, these two comments are two of the nicer comments about that video. I completely agree, and I'm going to point something out, which is that the thing that I'm talking about in the video itself, that the reason why most people's print work or poster work sucks is because they are being both formally and intellectually lazy, that they're not thorough enough, that really what they want is they want a sense of ease. They want the work to make itself. That is a valid point that I think you would find that you'd find in my own work if you Google me or whatever. I don't think you find any laziness in the production of my print work, my poster work, prints or poster work. The YouTube videos are a completely different thing. They're visual essays for me, and this is a defense of that. But there's hypocrisy here. I agree. That video was made at our summer studio, which is a cabin in the woods, and was made expediently. See, get it? Expediently. You could say lazily. I don't think the ideas in the video are lazy at all, but I completely agree that the visual construction of it was expedient and suffers from many of the problems that you see here. Here we go. The factors in your mind. Let's see what he says here. He basically, this comment talks about the idea that I don't show examples of the things that I'm talking about. Well, the implication in the video is that if you look at my own work, you'll find examples of it. I should have been more explicit in that, which sounds completely self-congratulatory, but it's just facts. You know, you might not like, you're not required to like my work. We can have a conversation about whether my work is good or bad, but we can't have a conversation about whether or not the ideas that I'm talking about in this video are manifest in my work, because they are. As a painter trained deeply in verisimilitude, you help me uncover why I'm done painting realism, how I can start to be an imaginative design paintings with different purpose than just reproduction. You're kind of a dick too, which is fun. All colleges need at least one. So this video was about the idea that realism is like an asymptote, which is that that basically, if you look at contemporary media, which is Instagram, YouTube, or whatever, currently, you've got the art world cut into two different halves. You've got, and this is an oversimplification, but you've got people who are steeping their work in verisimilitude. In other words, that what they're doing is they're making work that kind of looks like the real, and then you've got this other realm of work. I think the kind of realist work is somewhat of a problem, but you have to see the video to understand understand the full argument. But here he says you're kind of a dick too. Well, I totally agree with that, actually. I think that sometimes I'm surprised by my lack of sensitivity, so I agree with you. Drawing old department store logos tutorial on why you should care. Bro, you've done more graphic design teaching on YouTube in 1 year than you've done in 23 years at Cranbrook. Lucy Sunbeam 1332, but seriously, love you, keep them coming. Yeah, well, Lucy is totally on point, and really what it speaks to is it speaks to the changing nature of education and then my evolution as a teacher. So basically what this means is that in 2001, when I started in a graduate program, I really thought that the idea was that, that it was a studio where people came together to work together and to experience life and art and to construct experience, really. I think that that's still a critical component of what we do and what I do, but I've placed exponentially more emphasis on bringing people together into my studio, exposing literally how I work. So instruction. But I don't make PDFs and give classes. Really, what I do is I work in a public way, like making work with my graduate students, instructing in that way, and then having them work in front of me. But I'm acutely aware of this idea of trying now, not just now, but for the past, I don't know, 7 years probably, ever increasing instruction in a kind of conceptual way. But Lucy Sunbeam is absolutely correct. A designer's job is to solve problems and communicate their client's brand, not their own. Well, yeah, I think everyone knows this, right? Like this is the a priori assumption of any undergraduate education, particularly in communication design or graphic design. You solve problems, and it's not about you. I agree with that, and we see the value of that. But I made a video called Alpha Designer, Beta Designer, and actually, if you think about it, really the designers who's almost every single designer, both in product design, furniture design, as well as communication or graphic design, whose name you know or whose work you know, does not do that. Does not do that. Even if their work appears as if it is relatively traditional. Watch the video, but basically it's that there's a voice in their work that to some degree transcends the brand that they're working on. I'm going to tell you exactly how to become an excellent designer. I don't believe you're doing your viewers a service by directing them to another graphic.org. This is Cranbrook, this is Parsons, this is MIT, this is Cliche, this is Emma Gray Post, the first 20 issues. This is ugly for ugly's sake. This is cynical, this is anti-people, this is dull, this is ugly and confused. This is designers who want to be authors circa 1999. This is not the real world, this is art for art's sake. This is derivative, this is not good design. Well, I completely agree with you. If you watch the video, That's not only is it the subtext of the video, I say that. Now, having said that, there are a handful of excellent, absolutely excellent designers whose work is being ripped off, who appear on that site. David Wise, as an example, is an absolutely excellent designer, who I think is responsible for many people copying the kind of work that David Wise is doing, and then that work shows up on anothergraphic.org. So there are exceptions to the rule. I think on the grid that I showed as an example, there were 2 David Wise pieces, and David Wise is an excellent designer. But largely, I agree with you. This comment is about blah blah blah. Is about an interchange that I had with this person about my anti-capitalist video. But basically, to sum up this exchange, I basically I'm advocating for artists and designers to be strategic, to not shoot themselves in the foot, and to not be naive. But you can read what's on the screen here. Talking about art while using AI immediately discredits this whole video. Well, I'm not a big fan of AI, but to be completely frank, things like Notebook LM and ChatGPT absolutely have their uses. So I don't think that this is an accurate comment at all. I fear for our future with AI, but the notion that it immediately discredits this video is not accurate. So that's it. I am headed to New York later today, and we'll be out of the loop. But Hannah Roll is working on the edit for Run and Gun Live, which should drop on Monday or Tuesday of next week. And hopefully I'll be back in the swing of making videos on a more regular basis. But I really am making this video to point out that I read all of the comments. And the reason why I read the comments is because I don't want to feel like I'm working in a vacuum. I spoke in a couple of the videos about creating community, becoming part of a community. I want to feel as if I'm connected to outside the confines of the community that I have here at Cranbrook, which I love and which I think is really powerful. But I want that to be a much larger thing. And so, it's selfish in a lot of ways, but, try and share work and ideas. And then I do pay attention to what people write in the comments, so sound off in the comments. And I will see you next